Well, how did this happen? I had some eggs stuck in my cast iron pan. I wanted to make this video to answer a few questions that I've been getting about cast iron, and also to show everybody that it's not always rainbows and unicorns when you're cooking with cast iron. Last night we had some Brenner, which is breakfast for dinner, some pancakes and bacon and eggs. This pan I cooked the bacon in, and then I drained the bacon grease out, and I put about 10 eggs in here to make some scrambled eggs. And as you can see, this is the next day. I didn't wash it out last night because I was too tired. But there's stuck egg in here. This is my number 8 Griswold pan here. And if you've seen my other videos, you know that I keep my pans in good condition. In fact, this is my regular egg pan. Just a unmarked number 5 pan here. This is I normally scramble a couple eggs in here or fry a couple eggs in here. So this is kind of like my dedicated egg pan. And this is always how I keep my pans in good condition like this, nice and oiled. And they're older pans. So hopefully this will kind of help to dispel a few myths that older pans are the elite cast iron cooking pans, and that the lodge pans aren't as good. This could happen to any cast iron pan, and it's not because I haven't maintained it. It's not because the type of oil that I used. This has happened before to me whenever I cook bacon. I didn't want to wash 2 pans out, so after I cooked the bacon, I took the bacon out, drained the grease, and I just put my eggs in here to add a little bit extra flavor, and the bacon grease kind of helped to coat the pan. So this happened maybe for a number of reasons. There was probably bacon that was already sticking down on the bottom here, and the egg kind of just stuck to that. The pan was already hot. It wasn't really hot, but it was hot when I stuck the eggs in. So this happens. This could also happen if you have a new pan, you're just getting it seasoned, maybe you're learning how the cast iron cooks on your stovetop. Maybe sometimes this happens when there's too much heat in the pan. So there are a number of reasons why this could happen, and it's not necessarily disappointing. Some non-stick people, or some people who might not like cast iron, would never probably have this problem with a chemical coated Teflon pan. If that's your reason for not cooking with cast iron, that's kind of lame. The reason I cook with cast iron is because I love my cooking, I love my pans, I love the fact that these are 80 years old, 90 years old maybe, a couple of these. My grandmother used them. Who knows who else used them? Who knows how many hundreds or thousands of meals have been cooked in them. These will last for another 80 to 90 years if they're well maintained. My kids will have them. So I just want to go over and show how to clean something like this. Do you let it soak? Do you don't let it soak? Do you use soap? Do you not use soap? Of course I don't use soap. So I'm just going to clean this out real quick and show you how you would clean a cast iron pan with something that has this in there. One thing about this letting it sit overnight is it becomes really dried out, so you can almost scrape it off just like this. Adding a little bit of water and letting it soak for 5 or 10 minutes, and then scraping it and then rinsing it and letting it soak again will really help to just get it out easily. So let's go over to the sink. So I have gotten a few questions about cleaning recently, and I do have another video up on cleaning. It wasn't as heavily soiled as this one is, so what I normally do if this happens on any pan, new or old, add a little bit of lukewarm water, not quite lukewarm. Just let it sit for a few minutes. You can see there's already pieces starting to float around here. Let it sit for a few minutes and then use I'm going to use this Lodge scraper to help scrape it out. So we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Alright, well it's been close to 5 minutes, I don't know exactly, but we're going to give it a try here. And yep, you can see how all that egg just starts to lift off that was in there. These scrapers really make it handy. And if you have a well-seasoned pan, you don't have to worry about letting it sit for 5-10 minutes. I wouldn't let this go overnight. I wouldn't walk away from it and go to the store for a couple hours or something. Simply because the longer that it sits in that water, the better the chances of that water penetrating through your seasoning and getting into the metal and then starting some rust below the surface. You also don't want to use extremely warm water. If you use extremely warm water, in theory that could break down some of the seasoning layer that you have, and as the oils heat up and they start to move around and leave the metal, you know, it gives a chance for the water to get in there in theory. So I just use like a medium temperature water for this. And then let's see, another question I got was, do you want to wash the pan right away? Generally yes. I mean, this has been soaking overnight, as you saw. This is the next day and I'm finally cleaning it. So you don't have to wash them right away. It's nice to when they're still warm. You don't want them extremely hot. You want them warm to the touch to where you can still touch them. Sometimes if a pan is red hot and you introduce it to something cold like water, it could warp or crack, in theory. I've never had that happen to me. So that feels good. There's still a little bit on the edges around here, but I'm going to go ahead and dump this and give it a rinse. So there it is after. There's just a little bit stuck right around in here. Some of this in here was bacon bits, you know, some bacon from the bacon that was cooked in there, and some of it's still egg, so. Alright, well that feels pretty good. So there it is. We'll dry it off and throw it on the burner. Turn the burner on to help evaporate any water. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to turn the burner on to let the pan heat up. That'll just help to evaporate any water off that might be left. It'll get the pan hot and ready to apply our maintenance coat, our seasoning coat of oil. So this is what I do every time after I cook with them, just like in my other video. Normally they rinse out fairly easy, and all you have to do is rinse them out, dry them off, put them back on the burner, wait until you get some heat coming up into this handle, this part right here. Take your oil, your rag, whatever type of oil you want. People like to use Crisco. I have always recommended this. I haven't used Crisco, so I can't say. I mean, I'm sure it works fine. It works well, but I've always just liked to use this stuff. So you can use whatever you want to season it. That's what I use. So I'm gonna let this pan get up to temperature. It doesn't take very long on the high output burner here, and then we'll apply a quick coat of seasoning. All right, it doesn't take very long. About 2 minutes, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. Oh, pan's starting to smoke a little bit. So that's kind of right where we want it. And to just apply, when we're just doing a maintenance seasoning, just put a little bit on our rag here. Get a hot holder. You gotta be careful when you're doing this because these pans are hot, so it's easy to burn your fingers or your wrists or anything else that comes in contact with it. Okay, so the inside's looking good. Do the bottom here. This just helps to maintain the patina, the waterproofing, the flavor, the non-stickness, and just the general health of the pan here. So there it is, back to nice and smooth and ready to cook again. Of course, don't forget your handle area. Back in business there. So hopefully this second cleaning video kind of helps a couple people who had questions and weren't quite sure how to go about cleaning it, cast iron pans, especially if you have something really stuck in there. It does happen, but cast iron is awesome. So check out a couple of my other videos if you haven't seen them yet. Thanks.